Hey, Vince Russell from Get Good with Vince here, off on another journey. I haven't posted in a long time. Been busy. That's an excuse. A lame one. Everybody tries to use the same one. Everybody's busy. But I think one of the main issues is that I always try to make these videos so polished when I really should just make some content, create some content, get it up on the web, and let you all be the judge of that. I'm trying to follow the example of my main man, Ian Hubert. Absolutely amazing blender artist in general, creator. He just gets on his videos. I'm a member of his Patreon group. $7 a month, worth every penny. He just gets on video and creates magic just like that, unscripted, unfiltered. He's awesome. So I'm going to try to be more like him. Today we're going to be animating again. Maybe I'll have a little graphic of our finished animation up here or something in here that you'll see, but it's going to be a bouncing ball falling into obstacles. Let's get our obstacles in here first. I'm going to try and drag this in here. Let's link it, maybe. And we'll bring our set in. Oh, okay. Yeah, that works pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a bouncing ball. It's going to come in and it's going to bounce. It's going to roll off of here, fly up, bounce again, bounce off of here, roll. Just a little exercise in timing and spacing again, like the other bouncing ball animations I did. This one just a little bit more complex. Shouldn't have brought that set in just yet. I like using grease pencil first, so I'm going to do a new 2D animation. I'm not going to save this, and then I'm going to bring the set in. I'm going to get out of my camera first, go to my front view by hitting 1 on my numeric keyboard, bring in the set here, link it again, go to my collection, pick the set. Okay, and here we go. So now we're all set up. We got a grease pencil, we got a stroke. We're in our object mode. I think we want to be in a different mode. So let's select our stroke, and I think come over here. Yeah, I can go to draw mode. Okay, and now I am ready to draw. Let me see if I can turn off my camera from over here so I don't have to leave that mode again. Here we go. I don't know what that is. I don't like it. Let's see. We got our floor, text info, annotations, extras. Yeah, I'll just turn off our extras. See if that works. All right. So grease pencil. Let's use our annotation tool first real quick. I think it's our annotation. Yeah, annotate. And just draw a little diagram as to what we hope to do with the ball. So we hope that the ball is going to drop in, from the top here, bounce off of here, up in the air, bounce off of here, up in the air again a little lower, come down, hit this slope, swoop up, bounce off of here, bounce off of here at an angle, and then come over here, bounce a couple of times, and then roll up that face and maybe back down and settle in here. Something like that. Okay. Didn't use my annotate tool, used my grease pencil on that one. Let's see if I can create another layer, because I kind of like what I've created there. Still learning grease pencil. Alright, so let's create another layer. Grease pencil layer. Let's call this ref for reference. Yeah, there we go. I wonder if there's a way to, there's an opacity right there. Yeah, that's good. I can lower the opacity, and we'll go over to this, and let's just call this ball. That'll be our bouncing ball. Not sure what that does. Let's see. Oh, onion skinning. Oh, yeah, we definitely want some onion skinning on this one. Okay, so let's start out on our first frame on our ball layer. And we're going to start off with our ball somewhere out of frame. So I'm just going to move my canvas down a bit. I'm just going to draw it somewhere up here. Remember, this is just a grease pencil animation. Doesn't have to be, particularly good. Now, sometimes I'll animate straight ahead. Sometimes I'll animate, pose to pose, so to speak. So like if I was doing pose to pose, I go up here to frame 6 or so, because maybe it'll take 6 frames to get here, and then I would draw this contact pose right here where it's hitting, and then I go forward like maybe another 6 frames or so, and I draw it at its height. And the ball, I'm going to try to keep it consistently sized, but we'll see. I'm going to try to do a couple more keyframes before, a couple keyframes after, so I can see what I'm doing here. All right. And then after I do that, I'd go back and say, okay, I want to favor one side or the other. And, I want a nice slow out. So I'm going to go a little bit here. So you know, that's one way of doing it. Other times I'll just go directly, like if I'm going to go all the way out here to frame maybe 30, and I'm sure there's a faster way to do that. But let's say I was working from here, I would have this frame here, you know, and before it, I would have the contact frame right there as it's stretched, and then one frame after it, it would kind of jump up and extend that way. And then from there, you know, I think I'd go probably 2 frames maybe for it to reach its peak. I'm not following that line exactly, just kind of feeling my way through this. And back here, you know, maybe roughly there. I can already tell that's not going to be enough time up there. Okay. So sometimes I'm all over the place with this. I kind of like how this is turning out, so I'm just going to keep going from here. Maybe work my way back. So I can already tell it's not going to be enough time. I'm going to want to slow out. So I'm going to grab this guy and move him over, you know, frame or 2. And I'm just going to favor this. I'm not going to favor either side. I'm going to go right through the center of these 2 frames. Draw another pose in here. And after my next frame, right in between the center of those 2 frames. Now you really don't know how this is going to turn out until, you know, you play it, right? So sometimes I'll go back here and I'll move this here, and this is going to play like through so quickly. I mean, I won't really be able to see much. Just right there, just to get a feel. Okay, I mean, it's moving kind of quick. You know, that's why I might want to stretch out, you know, some of these frames at the end. But let me get a little bit more done before I do that. I'm going to go back to the beginning now and try to see if I can work out some of these frames. Because I can always put in, since this is just a rough draft, I'm not doing final animation here. I don't have to worry so much about my timing. I don't have to worry about how many frames I'm taking up. I haven't decided how many frames I'm going to take up yet. You know, this isn't a professional animation where I'm told exactly how much time I have or how many frames I have. So I'll take as many as I want. Okay, so second frame here. I'm going to go over here to 1 right before the contact, or 1 right before, yeah, well, the second contact, the squash. I'm going to draw my stretch frame right here. I'm going to go 1 back, and it's falling pretty quickly, so I think I'm going to go like just about halfway through there. Go back 1 more frame. I'm going to need more frames because this is going to fall a bit too quickly. I'm going to want some holding frames in there. So I'm definitely going to want 1 in between there. So I'll grab these frames, move them out 2 frames, grab that frame, move it out 1 frame. I think I moved that too many frames. Let me zoom in here on my timeline section. Just hitting the scroll wheel. Let me see if I can turn on Screencast Keys, actually. Should have done it a while ago. Sorry about that. Screencast, I don't see them. Let's go into our edit preferences. Add-ons, SCREE, Screencast. There's Screencast Keys. Okay, let's turn those things on. I think if I just click here, and then they're probably not going to show up. There we go. They have to be a different color. Green. Let's say maybe blue. Maybe a darker blue. And let's make them a bit larger. Yeah, even a bit larger. Yeah, like that. Let's see if there's a bold font. I don't know. Origin, region. I don't know what any of this stuff means. All right, we'll leave it on there. Hopefully that'll be enough information. All right, let's get going. So, yeah, I'm going to go back 1 frame here. Take all these guys, go back 1 frame. Let me know if there's a shortcut to move these frames. I mean, I think I can just hit G and move them. But, you know, it's the same thing as just dragging them as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 frame in between these guys here. Okay, don't like it. Try a little better. 1 frame right in between. So that's, you know, pretty slow moving from the first frame. Actually, that's the first frame. So let's just move this over 1 to start at frame 1. There we go. Okay, 1 frame over, so we got a relatively slow out. I'm going to put 1 more right in between these 2 to slow it out a little bit more. I want it to move a little more slowly out. All right. And we got Not too bad. That's a fast move over there. Okay. That looks a little quick. Actually, no. Actually, that fall in, that's pretty good. Good for now. All right, so next frame right after will be that, I don't know, what is that one called? You got your contact, your initial contact. I'm sure then you have your contact frame or your squash. You got your stretch contact. And then you have your extension. You have your stretch. I don't know. Oh, well. Okay, so that's going to spring up pretty high. I think this ball might be in the wrong position based off of this one. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to redraw my stretch frame right here because it's going to come right from the center. And maybe there. Let's try that. Okay. Next frame. It's going to be pretty high up there. A little more than halfway maybe. Next frame directly in between the two. Like that. This little trick, not a trick, method from the Animator's survival kit. Just start going halves. You know, halfway in between. When you want to slow out, you want something to look like it's moving slowly, just go halfway in between those two. And then the next one, let's do one more. Halfway in between those two. And then it's moving less over time. You get your slow out. So let's see what we got so far. That's a nice, convincing little bounce. All right, let's keep going. So our next frame we've got is here. I think I've got too many frames in between there, so I'm going to grab these guys and bring them back. So here to here, we've got our contact. Right here, we want to be roughly a little less than halfway for the speed of the move. Back one, halfway, roughly. Back one, another one halfway. Back one, another one halfway. And you know, let's do one more. It's getting a little tight, but then I'll make a nice little moving hold at the top where it's moving a little bit, but gravity's just getting hold of it before it goes back down. All right, let's see how that looks. See, now it looks like it's floating at the top. So that's too many frames up there because it's kind of pausing too long. So I'm going to go up here. I'm doing one too many frames, maybe two too many frames. So this one, this one, this one. So I'm going to get rid of 14 and 16 and then move these frames back together again. And eliminating 2 frames might eliminate that pause. Still seems like it's pausing a little bit long, so let's try to get rid of one more frame, but we gotta make sure we get rid of the correct frame. So looks like it changes position right about frame 13, 14. So I think we can get rid of, so that moves a bit quick. I think we can get rid of 13 here. So let's delete 13, go back here, whoops, get them all. Make sure I don't overwrite any frames and take a look at that. Alright, that's pretty good. Alright, let's continue. So, you know, I'll keep up the audio, but, you know, if it gets a little boring and goes for a long time, I might just shut it off and just fast forward, because all this gets a little tedious, because I do the same thing over and over again. It was around this point I realized the momentum of the ball was going to kind of carry it over that little island in the middle there. So I had to redo, you know, how the animation was going to work. I also changed it at the bottom as well because the energy from the ball was going to send it flying a bit further than I had in the original drawing. Down towards the end here, I felt like I was running a little long, so I got kind of sloppy with it. You notice the ball is losing a lot of volume. It's shrinking as it goes through there. But I mean, it's once again, it's a rough draft. Just a guide for the actual 3D animation I'm going to do later. Okay, let's finish this up. We join our regularly scheduled program already in progress. You know, subtlety. I used to watch guys animate and say, well, what difference does a frame make? It makes a big difference. A single frame. Removing a single frame can fix, or break. Yeah, that's better. Can fix or break an animation. Now, you people who really know how to animate, and of course any professionals, if somehow you wind up watching this or watching it and saying, oh, good grief, this is terrible. But I think for a guy who doesn't really have an education in animation, who's just having fun and learning, it's pretty good. All right, so let's move on to our 3D animation. All right, really simple stuff here. Get back to our first frame. Let's Shift A. Whoops, forgot. Got to get out of draw mode. Go into object mode. Shift A. Let's add a simple quad sphere. Change our shading because this is just, not real animation. Shaded smooth. I like to tab in and scale it down because then I don't have to worry about resetting the scale. And it's roughly about the right size. All right. So this isn't going to be fancy. Quick and dirty. Just going to try to follow the path and see what happens. So at this point, it's just a matter of using my guide drawing, my grease pencil drawing in the background to place my 3D sphere. I don't put a keyframe on every frame because I can get some of that animation for free using the graph editor. I do, however, put on a lot more keyframes, maybe than I should, especially down here towards the end. I start going frame by frame, which is a mistake because I didn't like the way some of it turned out. It took me a lot of time to go back through and mess around with it. I would advise against doing that, and I learned something, and so I probably won't do that next time. But went through frame by frame. Afterwards, I go back, I watch it, I polish it, I move things around a little bit to try to follow the guide a little more closely. Sometimes the guide's not great though, and while you're doing your 3D animation, you find that out, so you make some changes, and that's great. That's fine. It's all in the nature of making a hopefully great animation. Okay, so I went out and took out that one last block in our set, but here we go. Alright, overall I think a pretty decent effort, but I did forget the squash and stretch. When I squashed the ball, I didn't stretch it to account for the volume, so that could be something that makes the animation look a little off. Right now for the timing and spacing though, I think it's pretty good. I'll have to remember the squash and stretch, the accounting for volume, the next time I do one of these. Alright, all in all, I think an unqualified success. So that's it for this time. Join me the next time on my next journey as we hope to continue to get good. Okay, that wasn't very good, but this isn't rehearsed. Alright, see you next time, everybody.